All right, get ready for a deep dive.
Let's do it.
We're talking West Indies versus Bangladesh at the Women's T20 World Cup.
An absolute cracker of a match.
Even if we already know the score, I think,
Oh, absolutely.
this will be a real nail-biter. You've given us a fantastic collection of sources.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating here is that we get to kind of go beyond the basic match report, right?
Right.
We can really dissect the strategic decisions. You can almost feel the pressure these players were facing.
Right, because this wasn't just another game on the schedule. This was
Yeah.
practically an elimination match for both these teams. I mean, the loser would be in a very precarious position.
And to add even more intrigue to all of this, the venue itself plays such a crucial role in this story. The Sharjah Cricket Stadium, it's got a reputation, right?
Oh, tell me about it.
A batter's nightmare, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, those slow, low pitches. They're notorious for making it, well, just tough to score runs.
Yeah.
And that, of course, completely changes how you approach both batting and bowling.
And, if we connect that to the bigger picture here, it's important to remember that Australia is the only team who have really conquered this pitch so far. I mean, they posted a massive total, setting a high bar for everyone else.
Okay, so knowing all of that, how do you think the players are feeling
Oh, man.
heading into this match, knowing that a loss could mean the end of their World Cup dreams,
Yeah.
and then facing a pitch that's, it's already claimed a few batting lineups?
The pressure must be immense. I think particularly for a team like Bangladesh, right? They had already played their previous two matches at this very venue.
Hmm.
So they knew what to expect, and yet they hadn't quite figured out a way to, master those conditions.
Almost like they had a home field disadvantage in a way.
Exactly. And contrast that with the West Indies walking into Sharjah Cricket Stadium for the very first time in this tournament.
Wow, talk about a baptism by fire.
Right.
You've got to wonder how much that unfamiliarity with the pitch might have played into their, pre-match strategies.
Absolutely. And speaking of strategies, let's talk about the toss. I mean, this is where those Sharjah pitches really come into play, wouldn't you agree?
100%. Winning the toss at Sharjah, that could almost be considered a game changer, right?
Absolutely. So, knowing all of this,
Yeah.
what do you think the West Indies did when they won the toss?
Knowing those conditions, you'd have to think they'd choose to field first, right?
Yeah, they did exactly that. It surprised absolutely no one, given the way those pitches have been playing.
But they didn't start there. The West Indies also made a kind of bold move with their lineup.
Debut alert. They brought in Mandy Mangru
Oh, wow.
for her very first World Cup appearance.
Talk about a high-pressure situation to make your debut.
I can't even imagine.
Right. It's one thing to play in domestic leagues, but stepping onto the world stage for the first time in a must-win game
Yeah,
at a venue known for being, well, unpredictable,
right.
that's a whole different ballgame.
And we'll hear from Mangru herself a little bit later about how she handled those nerves, what her impressions were of that Sharjah pitch.
Can't wait. Now, on the other side of the equation, we had Bangladesh coming in with some known batting concerns. Your pre-match analysis really highlighted how much pressure their batting lineup was under.
Yeah, they'd been struggling to put up big scores throughout the tournament, and a lot of that pressure just seemed to be falling on the shoulders of Sopana Mastri, right? She'd been their most consistent performer. So the question was, could someone else step up and relieve some of that pressure?
And spoiler alert, it didn't exactly go according to plan.
Unfortunately not. I mean, from the first ball, it was evident that spin bowling was going to be, the order of the day.
Which makes sense, right? Given what we know about those slow, low pitches. But I'm curious, was there anything in your research that suggested spin would be particularly effective in this match?
Yeah, actually, your pre-match expert analysis really went deep on this, mentioning that the Sharjah pitch tends to offer more grip and turn for spinners as the match progresses.
Interesting.
So not only were the conditions naturally suited to spin, but it was also a tactical decision by the West Indies to bowl first and kind of exploit that later on.
Fascinating. So it wasn't just about the type of bowling, but also the timing and how the pitch would change throughout the match.
Exactly. And speaking of spin bowling, can we just take a moment to appreciate Karishma Ramharak's performance?
Oh, absolutely. She was on fire. 4 wickets, just 17 runs.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of figures that bowlers dream of, especially in a World Cup match.
A true match-winning performance. But it wasn't just her ability to take wickets. It was how she controlled the game, building pressure, forcing the Bangladesh batters into making mistakes.
Yeah, it felt like every time Bangladesh tried to build a partnership, Ramarak would come back on and just break it apart.
Precisely. But it wasn't just about the bowling that won it for the West Indies. You know I love it when wicket keepers make game-changing plays, and we saw that with Shemaine Campbell, right?
She was absolutely electric behind the stumps.
Yeah.
Two crucial stumpings in this match, including one that had everyone talking.
Yes. The one where she, like, collected the ball down the leg side and in one swift motion whipped off the bails.
I mean, it was so quick that even the commentators weren't sure if she'd gotten the stumping.
Right.
We had to wait for the third umpire to confirm it.
Yeah.
But sure enough, she got the batsman out by, like, a fraction of a second.
It's amazing. Those are the moments that can really swing the momentum of a T20 match.
Absolutely.
And speaking of momentum, let's talk about Bangladesh's captain, Nigar Sultana.
She played a captain's innings if there ever was one.
Absolutely. I mean, while the rest of the Bangladesh batting order crumbled around her, Sultana held her nerve, played with incredible grit and determination.
Yeah.
Her 39 runs were absolutely crucial in giving Bangladesh something to bowl at.
Yeah, she really stood tall when her team needed her most. Even though they were struggling, she never gave up.
Yeah.
And can we talk about that catch?
You mean the one by Deandra Doughton? The one that had everyone on the edge of their seats?
Yes. It was a moment of pure controversy.
It was one of those catches where you see it live and you're not sure if it's out or not. Then they show the replay from different angles and you're still not sure.
Even the commentators were divided, right?
Yeah.
Some thought it was a clean catch. Others thought it might have been grounded.
Right. And this is where technology comes into play. The third umpire had to review the footage from every possible angle.
Oh, man.
It was painstakingly close, but in the end, the soft signal from the on-field umpire was out, and there wasn't enough conclusive evidence to overturn it.
So it remained out. But it definitely sparked some debate about those tricky catching rules. It seemed like even the tiniest little things were going the West Indies' way that day. Even the bails seemed to be on their side.
Oh, don't remind me. The near stumping where the bails lit up but somehow didn't fall over, that was a heart stopper.
I think everyone in the stadium held their breath for a second.
Right.
Again, it went to the third umpire who had to, like, zoom in and analyze every single frame to see if the wicketkeeper had dislodged the bails before collecting the ball.
Unbelievable.
It was another one of those moments that highlighted just how crucial those tiny margins can be in T20 cricket.
Absolutely. But even with those moments of tension and uncertainty, the West Indies chase was just a masterclass in controlled and clinical batting.
They made it look easy, which is a testament to their skill and composure under pressure. Hayley Matthews, in particular, silenced any doubts about her form with a true captain's knock.
Absolutely.
She knew her team needed her to step up, and she delivered in style. But can we dig a little deeper into her innings? What specifically impressed you about her batting approach? Your analysis mentioned her ability to rotate the strike and keep the scoreboard ticking over, even when the boundaries weren't flowing freely.
Exactly. Wasn't the most flamboyant innings, right?
Right.
But it was exactly what the West Indies needed in that situation. She read the conditions perfectly, paced her innings beautifully, and made sure they didn't lose any unnecessary wickets.
A true captain's knock indeed. And speaking of captains, you provided us with some really interesting post-match interviews. Hayley Matthews seemed particularly happy with how her team responded to the pressure.
Yeah, she was especially pleased with their adaptability. Remember, this was their first match at Sharjah in this World Cup, and yet they took to those conditions like ducks to water.
And she gave a shout-out to Stefani Taylor, who we know picked up a slight injury during the match. Sounds like Taylor's a true fighter, knows how to manage her body, but will be doing everything she can to be ready for their must-win clash against England.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how her injury situation unfolds for sure. Now, on the other side of the coin, we heard from Bangladesh's captain, Nigar Sultana, who was remarkably candid in her post-match interview.
She didn't shy away from their shortcomings, did she?
Not at all. She acknowledged their ongoing struggles with the bat, admitting that they need to find a way to play with more intent and be more clinical in their execution if they want to compete at this level.
But even in defeat, she exuded this incredible sense of sportsmanship, gratitude for the support that they'd received. It was really heartwarming to hear.
Absolutely, a true class act. Now, let's shift gears and hear from our player of the match, Karishma Ramharup.
Yes.
Her insights into that match-winning bowling performance are pure gold.
She was incredibly humble, wasn't she?
She was. But she also provided some really insightful tactical analysis. She talked about the importance of varying her pace and length on that slow Sharjah pitch and how the West Indies bowlers had like a clear game plan going in.
And that game plan involved staying patient, trusting their skills, and knowing that they had the batting firepower to chase down any target.
Exactly. It wasn't about panicking or, trying to force wickets.
All
It was
right.
about bowling to their strengths and letting the pressure build on those Bangladesh batters.
Speaking of pressure, let's hear from the debutante, Mandy Mangru. It had to be nerve-wracking for her to not only make her World Cup debut in such a crucial match, but to also do it at a venue like Sharjah. What were her thoughts on those tricky pitches?
Yeah, she admitted that it took some adjusting, but she also emphasized the importance of not letting the conditions dictate their batting approach.
Right. She talked about how it wasn't about going out there and trying to blast boundaries. It was about being smart, rotating the strike, and punishing any loose deliveries.
Again, it's all about adaptability.
Yeah.
And speaking of the bigger picture, you included some great insight from Ava Fletcher. Even though she didn't play in this particular match, her comments about net run rate were a good reminder that every single run can matter in a tournament like this.
Right. It's not just about winning. It's about winning big when you have the opportunity. That net run rate can come back to bite you if you're not careful.
Exactly. And, this match has thrown Group B wide open. The West Indies are in a strong position, but they still have a crucial match against England to come, who are also vying for a semifinal spot.
Yeah.
Bangladesh's hopes are hanging by a thread, but, you can never count them out entirely. Their final match against South Africa could still have major implications for the group standings.
All to play for.
It certainly is. This match had it all. Tactical masterclasses, individual brilliance, even a sprinkle of controversy. But as we look ahead to the remaining group stage matches, I think one question lingers. How much of an impact will these slow, low pitches continue to have on the tournament?
Will we see more teams adopt the West Indies approach of controlled batting and strategic spin bowling? Or will someone crack the code and unleash a batting masterclass on these challenging surfaces?
Ooh, good question.
Only time will tell. One thing is for sure, we'll be here for every twist, every turn, and every nail-biting finish as this Women's T20 World Cup continues to unfold. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us, and we'll catch you next time.